What's up, YouTube? It's the Action Figure Grader coming back to you with a cold list for some CGC graded Star Wars comics. As always, I'm talking about 9.8 grades with CGC for certain Star Wars books that are cold. They are freezing cold. Prices have either flatlined or dropped, and I think we're getting close for a lot of these where you probably want to consider picking them up. One quick channel note, I've got a subscriber giveaway, and these are courtesy of Patreon supporter and fellow YouTuber Brett on Fett. And he sent 3 books, issues 1, 2, and 3 of the George Lucas rough draft screenplay called The Star Wars. So for those of you who clearly are longtime Star Wars fans, you know that there was a rough draft for the original movie, and it was called The Star Wars. Well, they made Dark Horse made a comic book kind of adaptation of that rough draft. And so Brett was kind enough to send issues 1, 2, and 3 in that series to me as a gift, and we're going to pay it forward. We're going to send those to a subscriber in a giveaway here. So all you got to do is be a subscriber, like this video, comment below, and you will automatically be entered to win this 3-pack of books. I'll pack them really well. They're in great shape. They're probably 9.6 grade shape, and or you can just read them. But they're great covers, and it was really nice of Brett. Be sure to go check out Brett on Fett's YouTube channel. I will include in a link to this video a link to Brett on Fett's YouTube channel in case you want to check it out. He's a Star Wars collector just like me. We're all a bunch of idiots collecting plastic dolls and acrylic cases. That's all it is. So back to the premise. Back to the premise of this video. I did a lot of research on this one, believe it or not. I didn't just wing it on this one. I took a look at where comic books have been selling and where they are right now. Some of these I still think have a lot of room to drop. Some of them I think are worth picking up, and I wish I'd seen a couple of these. I probably would have bought them myself. But let's start with the big dog. This is one that's on my hit list. I'd like to get this one this year in a 9.8 if I can save up the money for it. I don't know if it'll happen or not, but we'll see. And that is Star Wars number 42. I just want to get the direct edition. I don't think I can afford the newsstand edition, but this is a book that, you know, obviously got really, really hot leading up to the book of Boba Fett and into the show. Well, now the show's over, and the prices are starting to come back down again, and that seems to be kind of the normal sales cycle for a lot of key issue books when a new show comes out related to that comic book. Now that the show's over, people have moved on to something else, and the prices reflect that. Here's an example of a newsstand 9.8. So, you know, it's got the barcode in the lower left-hand corner instead of the icon. Really beautiful example. It's got a little bit of an overwrap on the front, along the spine there. But that one sold for $4,095, best offer accepted. Now, a year ago, this was $5,000 plus. There's one that sold for $5,100 in the newsstand. So this book has taken a leg down in terms of price. It's down about 25%. For the direct edition, which is the one I'm interested in getting, this one, January 28th, during the height of the Boba Fett show, that one sold at auction for $3,206. So that's for the direct edition. It's got the Spider-Man logo in the lower left instead of the barcode, so you know it's the direct edition. And $3,200 is kind of about what the market was for about 6 months there. You know, let's say September all the way into January. Well, the prices are starting to drop. This one just sold for $29.50. Or excuse me, it's listed right now for $29.50, and it hasn't sold yet. And it's been sitting for a long time. I've had it on my watch list for a while. It does have 15 watchers, but it doesn't sound like a big drop. You know, going from $32.06, let's call it $32.30, down to $29.50. That's not a big drop, so it's, you know, less than 10%, but it is down. And this one is available right now. It hasn't sold yet. So I think that there's still room for this book to drop even further. I bet that this book gets closer to $2,500 later this summer. We'll see if that happens or not. That's kind of my price floor for Star Wars 42. If it hits $2,500 and I have the money saved up, which I don't, then I'm probably going to pull the trigger on it if I can find one, a nice clean example like this. This is a nice clean example. It's just too expensive for me right now, and I don't have the money for it anyway. But really nice clean example of the direct edition for Star Wars 42. If that hits $2,500, I'm a buyer at that price point. But $3,000 is too high, in my opinion, for it. Okay, another couple of books that I wanted to show. Kanan, the Last Padawan, #1. This is a book I've talked about many times, of course. It's got the first appearance of Kanan or Caleb Dune, the first cameos of the Rebels team like Sabine Wren and Zaborilius Chopper and Ezra Bridger. It seems like the market's gravitating towards Star Wars, Kanan, the Last Padawan #6, which is their first full appearance. That price hasn't moved either, though. That one's still sitting around $600. This book, Kanan #1, had got up kind of like in the mid to high threes, $350 to $375. It's now dropped back down to where you can get it below $300 right now. I still think that this is a really nice book to pick up. It might have further to drop. I didn't think it would hit into the 200s again, but it has. It's come back down. And part of it is because people have gravitated towards #6, but part of it is just because there's not much going on right now with the Kanan and the Rebels team. And I think that, once we start seeing that team on the Ahsoka show, assuming they show up, which I think they will, I think that this book and #6 will jump back up again. So it's getting pretty close, though, at $280 plus shipping, which is what this sold for on March 4th. It's getting pretty close to where I'd pull the trigger on a second copy myself. Anywhere in that $250 to $270 range, I think I'd be a buyer for Kanan, the Last Padawan #1. Now, I couldn't find a recent sale for Kanan, the Last Padawan #1, the second print, but this is a book that was historically $600 or so in a 9.8. Now, a 9.6 recently sold on March 6th, so 2 days ago, for $154. That's a pretty good deal on a 9.6 grade. And as you can see, it's got the darker background, a little bit tougher to find, a little bit lower print run. This is one I wouldn't mind picking up, kind of $450 and under, if one pops up in a 9.8 grade. Another one that's really surprising to me that has dropped back down dramatically, that's The Rise of Kylo Ren #3. Everything else related to the High Republic, for the most part, is skyrocketing. It's jumping like crazy because we've heard rumors, heavy rumors, that there's going to be either a Disney Plus show or movie in the works for the High Republic era. And apparently they're casting it right now. So it's not like this is a 5 years out type of thing, like the video game. It sounds like the live action stuff for the High Republic's coming. And one of the keys within that for the High Republic is The Rise of Kylo Ren #3. It's the first cameo appearance of Evar Kriss. And she's one of the main protagonists, one of the big heroes, one of the top 3 characters within the High Republic universe if you're trying to buy something related to it. This book, as you can see here, this one used to sell for $200 to $225. It got up pretty high there. Well, there's a sale that just happened on March 5th at auction for $122. That's almost cut in half. The price has really dropped for this book, and I don't know why, because it's a pretty important book. It's one I'd really consider getting. So it is a cameo. It is a cameo first appearance, while the High Republic #1, which is her first full appearance, that book has really taken off. So maybe it's just a case of collectors gravitating towards the High Republic #1 and dropping this one off, saying, it's just a cameo, who cares? That could be part of it. But I still think that this is a book that I would recommend getting. It's not like it's a bad book, and I don't think Kylo Ren's story is done by any means. I still think that there's a lot of room for them to do stuff with Kylo Ren. There's already rumors that Daisy Ridley is going to reprise her role as Rey. So you could very easily see Kylo Ren making a reappearance, and something like this makes a lot of sense with his backstory. So the Rise of Kylo Ren really is the origin story for Ben Solo / Kylo Ren. So to me, if I'm going to get anything that speculates not only on the High Republic and Avar Kriss, but also on Kylo Ren and his origin story, this is the one to get. #1 obviously is a good pick too, but this one, it's kind of like 2 birds with 1 stone with this book. And $122 is a steal. I would have paid that all day long if I had seen this one. I couldn't do a cold list without talking about Darth Maul #2, which is the first full appearance of Cad Bane. And wow, what a roller coaster ride this book has taken. Obviously, he showed up in the Book of Boba Fett. He looked awesome. He was super cool, and he had a really, really great scenes that just kind of chewed the scenery. I mean, they just did a fantastic job, in my opinion, bringing him to live action. Well, the book skyrocketed, of course, and it jumped up to $850. Well, the very next week they kill him off, right? And the book dropped like a rock again. So this one just sold on March 4th, and it sold for $330 US or 422 Canadian in an auction, 41 bids. to me, I'm a buyer. I'm a buyer at $330. That's almost like swinging too far down the other way. I paid $400 for my copy, and if I have the money and I see another one pop up in this price point, kind of $350 and under, I'm a buyer for this book because I don't think Cad Bane's done yet. There was obviously a transponder kind of beeping noise as his body lay prone on the ground. So I bet eventually we're going to see him again, and the ship's going to come to him and save him and all that. So I just don't see how they could possibly spend so much intellectual energy on Cad Bane, not only in the cartoon, but it's one of Dave Filoni's kind of babies. They're not going to just kill him off that quickly, as much as collectors seem to think that's the case with a book dropping from $850 to $330 in about a month and a half. So me personally, I'm a buyer for Darth Maul #2 at $350 and below. And again, going back to The Force Awakens and kind of the newer trilogy, it does seem like people have written off the newer trilogy and said, I don't want anything to do with it. And this is a perfect example of a book that I would pick up personally. This is The Force Awakens adaptation #1, but this is the Neil Adams variant cover, and it is an awesome cover. Look at that cover. It's got Kylo Ren just kind of doing a swoop with the lightsaber. It just looks awesome. So that's the Neil Adams cover. Neil Adams is a pretty famous artist, for those of you that don't know. This is the Creator Universe exclusive. I saw one of these sell at Comic Link or one of those comic websites, Hakes or something, for like $75. It was cheap. And it was on my comic shop is where it was. But this one was $137, and I still think that that's cheap. I would pay more than that. I'd pay up to $200 for this book personally. And I was thinking about bidding on it. I just didn't have any money. So, but $137 on free shipping is a great price for that book because it's the first appearance of Kylo Ren, Rey, Finn, BB-88, General Hux. It's just got a lot of characters that eventually, I'm not saying immediately, but eventually they could revisit at some point with either some kind of cameos within the Disney Plus content or something like that. So I would look at that book, specifically this cover. I like this cover the best. It's just a really great cover. Next up, I can't do a cold list without talking about Black Krrsantan. Everyone freaked out when that Black Gladiator Wookiee showed up on the Book of Boba Fett, and I said, be patient, don't get FOMO, don't overpay for Black Krrsantan's first comic book appearance. And here's an example of FOMO. This one sold right after he showed up on the Book of Boba Fett. This is Darth Vader #1. This is the 1 in 50 Alex Ross variant cover. The first appearance of Black Krrsantan, probably the best cover, in my opinion, for all the different books that are available for Darth Vader #1. This is the most exclusive, the 1 in 50. I think there might even be a 1 in 100 sketch version of this, but some crazy person paid $525 for this book. $525. And I said, right in that video, right when Black Krrsantan showed up, I said, don't overpay for this book. Well, so this was back in January. Someone paid $525, and that same book on March 6th, 2 days ago, just sold for $250. So you could have got it for half the price, the exact same book, if you'd just been patient. And I don't think $250 is overpaying. I mean, even before Black Krrsantan showed up in the Book of Boba Fett, this was going for $200. So you're paying a $50 premium for the fact that he's actually shown up now in, within the live action content. And it's a fantastic, amazing, stupendous cover of Darth Vader. I would pay $250 all day long for this one. But there is a risk that this book drops even further. It could get back to $200 because Black Krrsantan, quite honestly, is not going to be a major character. It's not a big character. It's not like he can talk or have some kind of big important role. He's a bounty hunting Wookiee that is mean and grisly, and he tears people's arms off. So I don't think that long term the book is going to be a $500 comic like somebody paid. $250, maybe even down to $200 again for the 1 in 50 ratio variant. Now you're more my speed with what I'd pay for that book, and that one only got one bid, so it's not like there's some big demand for this book, and it was high demand. But I think at $200, $250, that's a pretty fair price for that book. Another one I've talked about in the past that really hasn't taken off, other than the ratio variant, is Star Wars War of the Bounty Hunters Jabba the Hutt #1. That's the first comic book or first appearance anywhere of the bounty hunter Diva Lompop. I think she's got a big future down the line, not short term, but probably intermediate to long term. And this one sold for 25 bucks. 25 bucks plus $16 shipping. That's basically casing costs, grading costs for the book plus CGC costs. So if you can get that book for 25 bucks, I'd get it. I like this one better. This is the Chang variant cover because it's got Diva Lompop on the cover. That one only sold for $40 plus $18 shipping. So that, I think either one of those are a good buy for how cheap it is. That's a cheap spec. Now, the crazy thing is that the 1 in 25 cello ratio variant, that one just sold recently for like $250 to $270. So I think it was $255 if memory serves. So people are willing to pay up for the 1 in 25 ratio variant for Diva Lompop's first appearance, but her normal standard covers, nobody cares. So to me, paying $255, I don't know if I'd pay that, even though it is a ratio variant, versus $25 or $40, I'd pay that all day long if you wanted to get a Diva Lompop. To me, I'd get the Chang. I'd get the Chang ratio variant of the two, because while the other one's cool and it's got Boba Fett on there, it doesn't have Diva Lompop on the cover, and this is her first comic appearance. So that's the one I would get personally. Another one that's really surprising, as I've talked about, the High Republic has taken off in terms of prices, but for some reason, the Walmart ratio variant, or the Walmart variant of the High Republic #1 has flatlined. It's come way down again. This got up to about $125, maybe even high as $150 for this Walmart edition. It's a great cover. It's a first appearance of a number of key characters within the High Republic universe. It's a Walmart variant, so it's going to be tougher to get in a 9.8 versus the regular covers. But this one just sold for $85 plus shipping. There were 2 or 3 other data points that I saw on eBay that were all in this $84 to $86 price point. So to me, I'm paying that all day long for this Walmart edition because there's going to be fewer of them on the census long term. It's just harder to get in a 9.8 grade versus the regular cover. So that's one I'd look at, because that's come way back down. It was about 150 bucks for a while there, 125 maybe. Another one that's really kind of cooled off is the origin of Asajj Ventress. That's Star Wars Republic #60. That's a Dark Horse Comics from December of 2003. It's a great cover of Asajj Ventress, and that one's come back down a little bit. It hit kind of like 300, maybe 330-ish. This one just sold for $269 plus shipping. That's one I'd consider. I think we could see Asajj Ventress again at some point in live action content. And even if you don't, who cares? It's an awesome book. It's an awesome book to have. It's a key issue to have. Finally, this one is really interesting. This is Star Wars Tales #24, which is the first appearance of Darth Nihilus. And this book is notorious. It jumped up like crazy. It's kind of the photo variant cover that shows Ray Park in front of Ian McDiarmid, like a hologram version of the Emperor. And this book was pretty expensive for a while. It hit all the way into the peak of the market around $900. And this one just sold for $391 US or 500 Canadian. That's basically been cut in half or more. So this is one I'd consider. It's a little bit more speculative, I guess, but I don't think it can hurt to have a Darth Nihilus first appearance comic book from 2005. It's a really nice cover. So just some ideas for those of you looking to not spend a lot of money. Obviously, some of these books are expensive, but I've covered everything from multi-$1,000 books to $25 books. So I've got something for every budget in here. All of these, for the most part, are 9.8 grade. So you can find some good deals out there that I still think are worthy of investing in the current environment, while we have a little bit of a lull between shows on Disney+. That's all I really had. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll be back soon.